OG Suzuki Samurai. I wish this was smell-o-vision because it's so... What's going on there? Hate rats. A lot of corrosion on that plugs. And no goodness. I'm gonna go see what this thing's capable of. Problem. Makay's got us stuck here. Something is kind of developing here. We're leaking gear oil out of the transfer case now. Almost. The faster you go, the smoother it gets. It's time to go next level.
Let's get out the Sawzall and put 40s on it.
They're off just a little bit. All Makay wants to do is fix that dent in the bumper. Makay's rebuilding a clutch. We ran to every auto parts store. I want to catch his reaction when he sees what I just saw. Makay, we were driving this. It's bad. It's worse than I thought. Will it shut off?
That is the question.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you'll be able to idle up some stuff.
That bumper's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Well, it's that time. Kay's here.
Let's go.
Where'd you just come back from, boy?
New York.
New York. Huh. Was
Upstate.
It warm?
No, it was not warm.
Not warm at all, huh?
It had white stuff falling out of the sky.
Yeah, it's a little chilly here today. Wind's blowing. It's probably snowing everywhere but here right now. But we're back on the Samurai. It's time to go next level. So what we're gonna do today is our blowed out rim and tire. We're gonna do a spring over lift. We've got a 4-to-1 gear reduction kit for the transfer case. And we got some bigger tires. Probably gonna trim some of this stuff off that we get hung up on and clean it up, and then we're going back up the mountain. We have got to make it to the top of Tomcat Pass with this Samurai, which will no longer be stock after today. Okay, it's very obvious we had a clearance problem. If you look at this right here, we bashed this with rocks. These bolts are damaged. We got bump here, bump there, back here, like bump, scrape, bump. Look at this muffler, dented. Look at these, well, in all fairness, this one was the flat tire side, but this side's the same way. Like it's bumped and bumped and bumped, and we drug this thing across the boulders. We caved in the tank support there. Like,
well, whoever put this muffler in got it a little bit off.
Yeah, that's crooked right there. Yeah, it's 3 pieces welded together right here. That's kind of rough. But anyway, Makay is removing the drive shafts and the transfer case. And yeah, we're going to put a 4-to-1 kit in the transfer case. Oh my, what we got going on here? Or is that just crud? It's just crud, I guess. 3 drive shafts for this little Samurai. And then we'll rip the axles out. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut all this stuff off, move it to the other side. We're gonna move this axle to right here. We're gonna put the spring over the top. That's gonna be our lift kit. and I'll show you what that yields for lift. So just moving the spring to the other side, if we measure from the center of the axle to the center of the axle, it's 5 inches of lift. So that'll clear us some big old tires. What do you say, huh?
Sweet.
Maybe we put 35s on it?
35s? Let's get out the Sawzall and put 40s on it.
40s. So, update. We've unbolted all of our U-bolts. You don't even need to pay attention to that. Just unbolt it, throw it in a pile. I've got them there. The U-bolts are hanging over there. Makay has almost got the drive shafts out. So, shocks are unhooked. Can push them up out of the way if you want. And then I'll show you what we're going to do here. So, Makay, he said, I think something is loose or broken back here. And it turns out that we had a mount that was broke. So anyway, it's not important because I'm going to show you something that I do with this. I take this mount out and I actually bolt this down solid. This helps lower the transfer case to reduce our driveline angle that we're going to have with the rear after the spring over. Makay's just got a handful of bolts, then the transfer case will be on the ground. And then we'll just team up and roll right into getting the axle over and get them clamped on. Once we cut these perches off, we're going to cut these perches off with a torch. We'll clean this up. We'll get it on the other side of the spring. We'll get it bolted back up. I'll show you how we do all that. And then we will weld them last. I like to set it on the ground and get the springs arched and then set my driveline angle once everything's been reinstalled. So we'll show you how all that's done. And then the most important part is the steering part, and I'll show you what we do there. It's kind of cool. And it prevents the bump steer and makes it drive good. And makes a nice little Samurai out of it. Jack this up. We've got these things loose. We're going to swing the leaves down and we're going to get the axle out because there's not enough room to bring the disc between here. We did take the calipers off, kind of cheated on the front, but we're not unhooking anything else. Steering's off. So we'll swing these down, we'll pull the axle and get it underneath, then we'll cut these off with a torch, clean it all up, both leaves back up, obviously, and then start working our way to hang that back on there. Then we'll do the same thing on the rear, but the rear we're going to do it a little bit different because we're not unhooking the parking brake cable or the rear brake hoses. So we're going to try to leave the brakes charged on it. Well, Kay's got it all cut up. So, gotta show you something here. Pretty trick. So we got these here plates. Okay. Just lost the washer on that one. Anyway, this is this side. Okay, so the shock absorber hook's here, right? Then you got your sway bar mount here. Now, if you want to run your sway bar, all you have to do is this plate's going to turn upside down and go right up on top of here, just like that. Then your sway bar will hook back up, your shock will hook back up, everything works. Now, the problem that creates is one side is wider than the other. So if you look here, this bolt pattern, they're off just a little bit. Usually what I do is just spread the bolts on one side and squeeze them on the other, but you can notch these out a little bit if you so desire. But this side of the tube uses a fatter U-bolt because the perch is a little different. This side, the perch is taller and uses an arrow U-bolt. But you want to flip those plates because then your shock hooks back up the same. You don't have to modify anything. You literally just bolt this thing together and go. Case done. Need to move the brake line. Then we'll set it down on jack stands once our drive lines are in, rotate our angle. These lines here are a little down. I tried bending it, but it didn't work. So we're going to cut it loose here, massage this back, add a little bracket to it, get a little extra out of there. Parking brake cable, it's going to work. It'll be all right. Shocks are hooked up in the rear. Once the saddles are welded in here, tightened up, done. takes care of that. So we're gonna pull the transmission out of it, see what's wrong with the clutch. We still haven't come up to a determination. In the front, I ended up doing my shocks a little bit different. I'm gonna pull these shocks down and go to here. I'm gonna put a longer shock in so I get a little more twist and travel out of the front. And then we're gonna build this knuckle, and I'll show you how we do that. We'll spend a little time on that. Other than that, like, the front's kind of where it needs to be. It's probably rocked back about 6 or 7 degrees on the old angle there, but until it's on jack stands and we can confirm it, we won't weld it. And yeah, we'll keep you posted on how it goes. All McKay wants to do is fix that dent in the bumper. Well, McKay's gone home. Steam cleaned this off. It's time to put the 4-to-1 kit in. Got a set of gears here somewhere. Oh, here they are. My eBay program. Oh, look, it comes with seals too. How nice. Bunch of gears. We'll get this unraveled and tear it apart and show you how to put that in. Okay, we got this thing blowed apart. So essentially what we're changing, this is your front output gear. You're changing that gear. It's a different size, as you can see. Also your intermediate crossover gear, and then this is your rear input for low range. So I've already pulled this bearing off and this washer. So essentially what happens is this gear should slide off now, and then we literally just swap this gear right back on, and this washer here will go back on, and then this bearing, and then this little input gear for the front input for the transfer case. Then we'll put this gear in, get the bearing swapped over on the front output, and reassemble in reverse order with some new output seals, because those were leaking anyway while we were on the trail. And then we'll put new gear oil in it, put her back in the vehicle, and finish welding our axles. Well, it's day 2, project spring over. McKay's rebuilding a clutch. We decided we were tired of babying the clutch, so McKay ripped the transmission out, fixing that. I got the transfer case in last night, got drive shaft on. We're gonna let this thing down on jack stands, and then we're gonna set these angles, show you how we do all that, and then we're gonna weld the perches on. We'll have tires back on this thing in no time, so let's get going. So we're down on our jack stands. We've got our rear driveline angle looking really good, and our little transfer case drop deal worked good. So these saddles are ready to weld. The front looks like we got about 4 or 5 degrees of positive caster, so I think we're pretty close on that. Also, our front pinion points up towards the transfer case. So we got to build this steering arm. We're going to build an arm coming off of here so that this can go over the top of the spring so that we don't have bump steer. So other than front shocks, we'll extend these little brake brackets down. We've got everything ready to weld. We're going to get it welded real quick, tightened up, and be ready to build that steering. We'll show you how we do it. Well, we've scoured the junkyard. We ran to every auto parts store, and we've come up with this. It's a CJ Pittman arm. What we're going to do on this steering, normally it goes underneath the spring, and you have to put a bend in this to make it work, and then you got all this angle, and it bump steers, and it's not happy. So what we're going to do, we're at ride height because we're sitting on the jack stands. We're going to make this pretty much straight, like right there. And what we're going to do is cut the end of that off, put a tie rod end on the end of it. We're going to take this and cut it, and we're going to weld it in right here. And this is going to be our new steering arm mount. So we'll leave just enough room to get that in and out, and then we're going to increase the length on this because it'll make it steer easier, because we have determined that the box oversteers by what, almost 2 inches?
2.5 inches.
So we got this tie rod end, which will go up on here, and it will correct all of our goodness here. So we'll show you what we do. Well, just like that, let's turn the wheel, McKay.
All right.
Let's see what we got. Let's see if it works. We got our Pittman arm welded, upside down on there. Look at that drag link. We're torque it a little. Oh yeah, we're still pulling the front end over all the way to the right. Oh yeah. How many turns are you lock to lock? You a full 4 or not quite?
1, 2, 3, 3.5.
3.5. So we got a 1/4 of a turn, right? We have a 1/4 of a turn. Oversteer.
1/4 of a turn oversteer.
Okay, perfect. So we just reduced it. We just reduced it by, I don't know, we probably went from 5 to 1 to about 7 to 1 on the steering. Nice. Okay, straighten the bumper. We'll get it painted up and back on. We'll be wheeling here for long. Well, we've been rudely interrupted by Jay from Camel Towing.
How you guys doing?
So we got a new clutch in there. It's looking good. We're hoping the clutch is everything. Now we can abuse the clutch.
Yeah.
We have low gears.
And ground clearance.
Oh, and ground
More than
clearance.
this much.
So I got to show you guys this spring over. So when the spring went under, you had all this monkey motion. Look at all this clearance we've got now. There's literally nothing underneath here. The U-bolts are up on top, so we're not getting hung up on those. And it's the same on all 4. Never mind this caliper that's hanging down, but yeah, we got huge clearance. And here's our steering from underneath. No bump steer. Should drive down the road at least 50 miles an hour without landing in a ditch. Well, Project Samurai is looking good. Get this thing rolled back, give you guys a first look at our little spring over Suzuki. Little spring over Samurai. So 5 inches of lift, and I don't know, what are we, probably a 4-inch taller tire. It rolls heavier. We need to put more power in it. Makay, he's fallen in love with it. He's like, you know, I think maybe I'd own a Samurai again after working on this one all these last 3 days. So we've got a little short in the dash we're going to try to figure out. And then we're going to go test this thing in the wash, see if it's more capable than it used to be. Makay tore some panels off the dash. I want to catch his reaction when he sees what I just saw.
Wow.
Makay, we were driving this. What do you think?
Well, there's a lot of wires
With
no
insulation and a lot of distance. There's like 6 inches of wire on each deal. So Makay's gonna pull the dash apart, and I'll take a picture and I'll show you what we find inside this dash. It's probably the worst rat chewing of wires I've ever seen. I can't believe this thing was even running, honestly, let alone charging and doing all of its other things. Okay, it's bad. It's worse than I thought. What do you think, Makay?
Well,
You think we have a short?
I wonder if there's some cross connection going on there.
So a rat made a nest in here on top of the glove box, and this just happened to run by there. And I don't know, I guess in his time off he just sat and chewed these wires up. So from day one, when I hooked the battery up on this, the starter cranked, so I ran a new starter wire to the starter to make that work. But in order to shut it off, we've been shutting it off by disconnecting the battery and the alternator. But yeah, so Makay's gonna do some separation and some cleaning and some taping and some reconditioning of wires here, and then we'll plug that back in and hopefully it will work. Looks good underneath here. Get back under there, we got good wire. But yeah, I do believe this is where our short circuiting, everything had power. The horn had power, the temperature gauge had power, like everything was hot when you plugged the battery on. I can't believe we went up the mountain with that shorted mess. But anyway, we're gonna fix it and we'll be back up and running in no time, and then we're gonna go drive this thing. Well, Makay's gonna be mad because I'm filming him doing some of his finer work here on these wires. But
Just to let you know, this isn't what we do on helicopters.
no, this is not FAA approved. This is Samurai approved.
But
Looks like you're doing pretty good on this little deal, though. They're
realistically, the wires are in really good condition.
so they didn't get through a lot of the copper,
No,
right? It
no.
just because the insulation was gone, we had a massive short.
Because there's nothing, I mean, even the smaller wires there's plenty of integrity there left in them if
Yeah.
they had some insulation on them.
Yeah, so Makay gets this taped up. We'll get her dolled up looking good. We'll plug it back in and we'll test it. We'll see if she's still a auto start. Okay, it's the big test. Makay's all taped up, plugged in, and certified. Horn doesn't work still. I think there's a relay problem. Okay, let's see. Oh, clock. Clock working off the key. That's just the clock. What do you call it? Light. Okay. Choke. I shut it off, will it shut off?
That is the question. Bingo!
Haha, McKay fixed it. The Samurai's alive. It's ready. So he's going to screw that dash back together. And we'll be ready to go hobnob this thing a little and see how it does. Okay. This is for all the chips. We can get it out of the yard. Getting out of the yard with this Samurai. We're good. Do. Clutch does feel better. It's still kind of clickety split. Brakes are terrible. Here we go. Here goes everything. Whoa! How big is it? Ooh, it's lower gear. Even in high. Yeah, that's high range.
Wow.
4-1, baby.
That's a crawl.
Yeah. I think we gained 2 gears down. Yeah. I think we gained 2 gears down. That feels good. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you'll be able to idle up some stuff.
Like, honestly, we could probably back up this little hill right here.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think we could idle up it?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, we're not slipping tires, and we're not even aired down.
No.
Like, we're fully...
But we actually have some traction tires now instead of highway tires.
Instead of radials. Okay, how dare you make such an observation?
Just saying.
Gosh, I wonder if we can climb the rock and twist it up. So we're going to test something. We're going to see if we can just back up that little hill we just came down. We're just going to idle and see what happens. We'll just see how it does.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's go over here and see if it'll twist up on the old twist boulder. This is my twist boulder, everybody. I got a boulder out here that I climb up and I do some twisting on. We'll see if it'll climb up the boulder. I don't know if it will or not. Whoops, there went McKay's bumper. Well, the bumper's still...
My bumper?
Bumper's still hitting McKay. Bumper still rubs. But hey, it twists better.
Now we need lockers.
Okay, let's go. You've stirred up enough dust for one day.
It'll be all in California in an hour.
Now I think it's blowing to Mexico today.
Oh yeah.
I think we do have better clearance now though.
Oh yeah.
It'll spin and dig like there's no tomorrow. And the clutch feels really good.
Nice.
Like we got some serious clutch action going on. Well, so it wouldn't climb the world famous temp boulder, but it feels pretty good. It rides good. It definitely a little better that way. I like the low gears. The low gears are a bonus. Like it just does so good with them low gears. So much better. So third gear, low range. Ride up this little bit. I think it's gonna be a lot better ride out in the desert.
I do too.
It definitely feels way better. So yeah.
Well, a little more tires, some little squish from the tire.
I mean, that's 4th gear.
wow,
Low
that's
range.
awesome.
That 4-to-1 kit, that's a game changer. Especially with our oversized tires. Like, we're still lower
Yeah.
even with our oversized tires. Like, amazing. And it does steer easier. Honestly, it steers, you know,
Yeah,
it isn't
usually when you put
huge.
the bigger tires on, it tightens the steering up.
Yeah, but our little ratio thing works good. Yeah, dude, we're just like, it's time to get Brad, and it's time to head up the mountain and see if we can make it to the top.
And it shuts off.
That's a serious bonus. What do you think of Samurai 2.0?
It's pretty good.
We lifted at 5 inches. We put RZR tires on it because that's the original side-by-side. We're gonna go to the top of the mountain yet again. You think we'll make it?
Definitely.
Well, we
Samurai.
didn't make it last time.
Bring back memories.
Suzuki. Yeah, so when we took your Samurai, we went, what was that up in Big Bear? Deep Creek. So we were going on a trail called Deep Creek, and the water was so high we floated across
Oh, yeah,
in
we
the
did.
Samurai. You
We
remember that?
definitely did.
That was the
I was
Samurai
like,
we sold
put my feet
McKay.
up.
Yeah, we had water coming in the floorboards, and we were floating, and the Samurai was like brum and hitting rocks and brum and brum, and we floated all the way across Deep Creek.
I know every time I think of that Suzuki Samurai, I think of that. I think it was blue and it was really lifted and you had huge tires on it.
Yeah, that
like-
was the old one.
like it
That was my
like up
first
to
one.
here.
Yeah, that was the first one.
That didn't take long.
Okay.
No, underneath.
What? Where?
Right here.
What? Oh, that's just bent. That's just a little. Needs to be bent back up. No, I tried to get up on a rock and I hit the thing.
I just straightened that
McKay
bumper
just
out
straightened that whole
yesterday.
bumper and painted it. It's like, oops, I did bad on the bumper already. So the bumpers are a problem. What we need to do is comp cut them like in this region. But I don't know. That bumper's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Just saying.